My name is Karina Harney, Playboy's Playmate of the Year, 1992.
And I'm Echo Johnson, Miss January, 1993. Welcome to the Bunny Chronicles. Let's go. All right, Miss Karina. How are you, baby?
Right.
I'm good.
You look great.
I'm excellent.
Yeah, I think we're set. All right. We have the one and only Mr. ARNY FREYTAG here today with us, people.
Hello, Arnie.
Hello, girls. How are you?
It's been a minute.
Been a minute. So, Arnie, let's give the intro so everybody knows who he is. So Arnie was the West Coast studio photographer for Playboy and strictly shot centerfolds and holds a record for the most centerfolds ever shot at
150.
100, no, is that right?
150,
Wow.
absolutely. I did my homework, Arnie.
Fireworks or something in the background for that?
Yes, we need that. Add that effect for Shad.
So, so we just kind of wanted to start with, I think we really would like to go into how much it takes to shoot a centerfold and what all that entails and the very specifics of the Playboy lighting and the camera on which it was used to be shot, which was very interesting.
Well, I want to go back to when you received an internship.
Yeah.
And what that was like for you, if you can walk back through memory lane and how you became involved with Playboy.
Well, I think the most interesting part of that story is that I went to a very strict photo school in Santa Barbara, California, where you couldn't have hair touch your collar, you couldn't shoot nudes, you couldn't do glamour girls. It was strictly, architecture, portraiture, commercial work, very, very strict rules, which was really against my grain.
Yeah, artistic freedom. That's no fun.
Right.
Well, I was at art school before that, so that was whatever goes, and then I switched to photography. But I went to that school because they were technically the best in the world, by far. So I knew I had the creative part myself, but I needed a technical.
Right.
So I went there and put up with the rules and regulations. And there were only 2 girls in the entire school. It was all guys.
Wow.
So I started, and I love taking pictures of girls. I learned early on that women love their portraits being taken, and it was a great way to meet girls. So I started photographing girls in my neighborhood.
Great way to meet girls.
That's
I love
cute.
that.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I'm a red-blooded American guy.
Exactly.
Yes.
Touche.
If you're going to have an advantage, take it.
Yeah.
So I started photographing girls in my neighborhood. And then that escalated to doing sexy pictures of women, some nudes. But I never showed anybody because it was illegal at the school.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I kept it to myself. And in the last class we had, my favorite teacher ever said, turn in any picture you want, no rules. Anything you want. So I turned in a black and white nude. And the class kind of freaked out. Like,
They did.
Wow.
oh my God, what are you doing?
What the hell is he doing?
Sensational.
Sensational.
Said, I want to see you after class. And I thought, well, now I'm going to be kicked out. This is the coup de grace, right?
Right.
So I went there and he goes, do you have more of this kind of work? And I said, yeah, I do, a lot of it. He said, let me see it. So I brought it in and he looks at me and he goes, this is what you should be doing. You should be a Playboy. I went, what? I never even crossed my mind. Never crossed my mind.
Did you know what
I
Playboy
was doing it for fun. He goes, obviously, this is what you love doing. So I know people at Playboy will get you an internship.
Wow.
So I moved to LA and I worked for a guy named Ken Marcus for about 6 weeks. And through Ken, I met the Marilyn Gabowski, the photo editor.
Right.
You all know her.
Of course. Yeah.
And she took a liking to me and started giving me little assignments. And then I just grew and grew and grew. And then to come full circle, the funny thing was Playboy was shooting all centerfolds on a camera called an 8x10.
It
was a massive box camera.
That's what we use for my centerfold. I remember that. One at a time.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and it was a 5-day process.
Yeah.
Ugh,
But no one knew how to use that. It was a camera that was then invented during the Civil War. It was an old style.
Really?
that's amazing.
Yeah, they used that
Wow.
in the Civil War. And the only people that used it were architectural guys or food guys
Mm-hmm.
because it gave incredible detail. And Hef loved it because it was the absolute best quality you could possibly get
Of
by
course.
any means. It's
Yeah.
a huge negative.
To be able
much
to pull
bigger
that
than smaller.
centerfold out.
And to see the detail.
Yeah,
the
when you
full
go to a big
centerfold.
centerfold,
Yeah.
you need a good image.
Yeah.
So Hef required that. And most people did not have any idea how to shoot that camera, but I did because I learned it at that technical school.
Ah.
Ah.
See?
So
So it worked out for you there.
So Marilyn said to me, do you know how to use an 8x10 camera? I said, absolutely.
Nice.
So they gave me a centerfold and it worked and Hef loved it. And then it just kept going
Wow.
and never stopped.
So how many years total were you there?
38 years.
38 years, yeah.
Life
Yeah.
sentence.
Do you remember,
Life sentence.
I've been asking everyone this question, but I want to know how you felt and what it was like when you first met Hef.
Right.
When you first met the man.
Terrifying.
Terrified.
I
Of
love it.
course.
I love it.
Wow.
Was he
I mean,
mad?
come on.
Was he mad at something that you did, or it was just the
It was just Hef.
experience because it was?
Well, I
you
grew up
and
on the
Hef?
south side of Chicago.
Okay.
I was a little kid from the south side of Chicago, and all of a sudden I'm at the Playboy Mansion meeting Hefner. I mean,
You're like, wow.
talk about intimidating.
Pinch myself,
Wow.
right?
Oh, so you were at the mansion. You
mansion
were
in
at the mansion
Chicago?
when you first met him.
I met him at the mansion.
But
That's
where? In
very
Chicago
cool.
or the mansion here?
No, L.A.
Yeah,
He had
LA.
already moved out here.
Yeah. Well, and I'm
Wow.
sure
Yeah.
you love the fact that you're from Chicago, South Side for
Well,
sure.
and here I was meeting this guy, and I remember when I was 12 years old, crawling underneath my friend's bed to see his dad's Playboy.
Of course.
And now here I am,
Oh wow.
right? I mean, talk
And
about thrill.
Hef had already seen your work. He already knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. the
Because
way-
obviously, because you were doing little like editorials for Maryland, so Maryland had you been showing Hef that, or Hef saw what you were doing, right?
and he
Well, I
liked your
started
images.
doing things like Playboy bunnies around the country,
Right.
from the Playboy clubs.
Of course.
That was a great job.
Oh wow.
Oh, I
Yeah.
bet. Talk
That's
talk
going
about
right.
that. We didn't know
Yes.
that. That's
I didn't
awesome.
know that
Oh.
either.
And then I started traveling internationally for doing that. So I went to London
Nice.
and, Germany and all over the world shooting Playboy bunnies. And that was actually the most fun because there was no stress. I had no editor over my shoulder telling me how to do things.
Sure.
Just
It was
the
just
freedom.
go take pictures.
Yeah.
Very
You
much
know,
like a
me-
journalist, but
Yeah.
obviously your images were beautiful. Did
Yeah, they
any of
trusted
those
me.
images were any of those images used in the magazine that you?
Oh, a lot of them. I mean, they were all for publication.
Mhm.
Wow.
They always had a pictorial every year, bunnies at Playboy clubs.
Right.
So and then I started doing like cheerleaders for the NFL and girls from the NSC and all these different football conferences. And I was traveling around, and that was really the fun days because there's no pressure.
Sure.
But then, Marilyn gave me a centerfold and then I switched over doing more important, bigger projects. And it started snowballing from there.
And speak to the fact and the point of you being in that position and shooting centerfolds that you really worked closely with Hef. You had to,
Yeah.
because explain a little bit that Hef chose each and every single image of the layout, and we would shoot for a day, and then the 8x10s would go up to him, and he'd say yes, no, tweak this, tweak that. How would that work?
Well, the way it worked was, as you know, we would shoot the 8x10 camera, but we would also have 8x10 Polaroids, which were fantastic
Yeah.
because you can check your lighting, the position of all the props, the girl's position, the wardrobe, the hair, everything.
Right.
You do your Polaroid, and then once you're happy with that, then you shoot some film.
Right.
And then it would take 3 hours to process the film. So you either wait that day or you come back the next day and do more. I looked at it because I was studying art prior to this. I looked at it as creating a canvas. To me, the photo set was nothing more than a gigantic canvas.
I like that.
And
Yeah.
instead of
Analogy.
putting
A
a
lot.
paintbrush on it, stroke by stroke, I used lights.
Right. Exactly.
So I would
Beautiful.
layer my lighting. I would start with
layering the lighting. So that's
would
the
layer it.
Playboy effect or the Playboy
Beautiful.
lighting effect.
that's what I created. Yeah, it was
You
Playboy
created
lighting
that. Oh my
wow,
God. Wow.
Arnie. My
because of my
gosh.
art background.
Yeah.
So I would start with, I look at the girl in the makeup room and decide what light was best for her face and what light was best for her body.
Huh.
And because we had 5 days to do this, and I could take my time and light the face one way, and a lot of times light the body separately,
Right.
totally different.
Right.
Because sometimes the face would look better with a top light or a side light, and the body would look better opposite.
Yeah, you were a genius with that. I remember
So-
I wanted to shoot with Arnie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was a Chicago girl. And
Right.
it's funny that he's from Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't.
And I think I shot with you one time.
Yeah.
Oh, for the Playmate review. Yeah, he shot the Playmate
But
review.
what we did was, I would start with the light on the girl,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would start adding little highlights in the background. Like I would look through the camera, move the props where I wanted them, and then say, which prop do I want lit? What's important? Like if you're doing an echo set, we shot her in like a barn with smoke coming through the.
With wood wedges under my feet, and they would draw
Fire
little
and
like
explosions.
they
in
would
the
draw
back.
they would draw horns
yeah.
on me every time it came out.
Oh,
But there were little highlights like on the straw in the background,
Right.
light coming through the window, smoke being lit, streaks of light coming through the
very
smoke.
cinematic.
Very
really,
cinematic.
very
Very
cinematic.
cinematic.
Yeah,
That's true.
it's beautiful.
It is like
And I love doing
Yeah,
that
yeah.
because at the end of 5 days, you had a beautiful piece of art. And remember, that picture had to be on someone's wall for a month.
Right.
They would tear out the magazine and put it on their walls. They
Isn't-
wouldn't just flip through it. Right?
Yeah.
Let
We
me
were
All my
less meticulous
girlfriends had the
about-
centerfolds on their wall.
there's my best friend.
Yes, by the
Maybe
way.
they're feeling, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey,
Um,
hey, let me ask you this: who came up with like the poses for each centerfold? Because each one is so different and
Me.
unique. Was that you did?
Yeah, I had a license plate once that said, I pose you.
Oh wow.
But how would you like
That's
come up with that? Just
funny.
based on like the way the girl looked, or like?
Well,
because-
like I said, in a makeup room, I would look at their face, and then I'd ask to see their body, and then I would know what poses work and what don't. I always take the best part of the girl. Let's say she had great legs,
uh-huh.
and I say, okay,
Stand
so you
up,
full
yeah.
leg,
that
Yeah.
it's gonna be a
lighted.
full leg shot,
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
right? And if she doesn't have great legs, I'll do a 3/4 knees up.
You shot Samantha. Do you remember Samantha Dorman? Samantha.
Vaguely,
Dorman?
yeah.
That she had those long legs is what made me think of
Oh,
that.
yeah,
Those
yeah.
long
Well,
legs.
your centerfold was brutal. Geez, she was like had one arm extended on both hands in water.
Oh my gosh. I
Did
can't.
Richard shoot that?
Yes.
I love Richard.
I
He was
did.
great.
I did too.
Yeah, what a great guy.
Miss him. Yes. Yeah.
And we would just. Be,
I used to keep those Polaroids.
Oh yeah, I still have them.
So
I have the
many-
large ones.
in Jamaica when I was on the shoot, my Playmate of the Year shoot with Richard Fegley, who sadly has passed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was a great photographer too.
He really was. Yeah.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
But let's talk
Oh.
about how brutally sore because
Oh.
people don't realize how hard
still you
and
have to be
excruciatingly
for the
hard
Civil
it
War
was
camera.
to do one picture.
The camera from the Civil War.
Right, with one picture for 5 days, anywhere from a 12 to 14-hour day in the same position. It was brutal, but
And you weren't allowed to move.
No.
No.
I remember crying. I would shake.
Oh,
And then they had
totally.
to empty the pool for the next day because they're like, her knees can't take this. We've got to put padding under there. So they put padding under the water because I had the water. I was in
Yeah.
that pool.
yeah,
Yes. And just,
it was.
I've had girls pass out a few times.
Oh,
I felt like I was
bet.
going to.
I bet.
Oh, wow.
I bet. Yeah, it was. It was.
Because the camera had no, what we call depth of field. It had no focus. So if you focus on the eyes, that's it. I mean, the rest of the picture was out of focus.
Mhm.
So if you're off by a fraction, and I mean a fraction, it was out of focus.
So that's why it was.
That's why you couldn't
tedious.
move. So you're in these horrible positions.
Everyone, yes, because to look sexy,
Horrible.
you are contorted.
Yeah,
You're contorted
thing
in the most
was-
unnatural way. And then you look like
I always told the girls, it's not going to feel natural. If you want to feel natural, it's not going to look good. And the girls go, this doesn't feel natural. And I go, okay, you tell me what you feel natural. I'll take a picture.
And show you.
Then I'll do what I think.
Yes.
I'll show the difference.
Yeah.
They go, oh.
Huge. Night and day.
Yeah.
And
the look on our faces, I'm sure
Better
was,
be.
it was
Yeah.
yes, relax your face. But at the end of the day, I think some of the pain came across as
Oh, it
something
totally
else.
did. It,
You know, even though they're in each centerfold was in pain, I'm sure you saw that. You were like, oh, but that also looks very sexy. That looks. It could be another moment, not just a painful moment.
Yeah. Well, actually, you're right about that.
But I bet every single one of them was that way because it was
yeah.
that. I know for mine, I'm looking at it. I'm like, how does this look so beautiful? And my face even turned out great. And I know I
Knowing
was
how you
about to
felt.
cry, but maybe that pre-cry.
is what captured that pre-cry moment. That was the shot.
I had a guy that I interned under, my friend Ken Marcus, who would sit in a studio and make the girl go into a pose, a centerfold pose, tell her not to move, and go back and eat a sandwich.
Oh my God.
That's
And if
cruelty.
she moved, he'd yell at her.
That's
right?
cruel.
terrible.
That's
Are you
cruel.
serious?
Here's what he did. No, here's what he did. He would wait until she actually broke down and started crying. And then he started shooting.
And get the most beautiful
Because here's what happened though. The girls looked more vulnerable.
Oh,
Because
see?
they gave up. It's like, okay, I give up. Just
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't
Just
care,
take
and they're relaxed. They're not trying,
relax.
and there's something about the emo. I see
You
that.
nailed it. You
I
just
see
said
it.
that.
Well, I wasn't a model. You were a model.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I had never. I mean, I had done modeling, but I wasn't really, skilled. So all of the best shots, and Richard was really good at that. Like how Arnie's talking about, where he would catch me off guard.
Yeah,
Everything
that's
was off,
interesting.
and I would have great facial expressions when I wasn't thinking about it.
Oh, and funny, we 2 weeks ago when we were recording up here and we were driving home and just kind of going over the day and whatnot and doing our behind the scenes, and Karina goes, God, have you noticed now, like as at our age, like the poses or the facial expressions that we used to make that were hot and looked great then does not work today.
The older you get, I've done selfies, and because we were in front of the camera so much.
Yeah.
There's a look or something. You know what it looks like within.
And then you learn.
Yeah, you get older.
No,
and you're like, you make that same. You're thinking the same thing.
Yeah, that's not a good look.
That you used to think when you were taking a great photo, and you're like, oh my gosh. Do you have any recommendations or help for that?
for us old ladies.
Yeah, because
I
now
didn't know your expressions changed.
Oh well, it's not just that. I think it's just,
I don't know.
It's just
like,
age.
Yeah.
Like we were laughing about that, and now if you put me in that same
like
position
this.
for my centerfold,
and it looks like shit,
and I was about to start crying, or you were shooting me, Arnie, like we did when it would not be a good thing. You'd be like, this woman needs to be in rehab. I think she has some kind of a drug problem.
We'll have to find a whole new approach that happens.
That's too funny. Gosh. So, talk about working with Huff and what that was like. And was it like a learning curve for you in terms of understanding what it was he was looking for? Was it demanding? Was it?
I didn't deal with Huff directly on shooting very often. Rarely, but occasionally I did. It was always through an editor.
Okay. So it's through Marilyn then?
Through Marilyn.
Yeah.
So whatever I heard through Marilyn was filtered through her.
Filtered is the word.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know a lot of times what he said other than what Marilyn told me he said.
Okay.
Because when I dealt with him directly, it was a whole hell of a lot easier.
Wow.
I mean, it's cut out the middleman, of course. It's like, yeah.
Well, you cut out the middleman.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I worked with him, for instance, if I was at the mansion shooting, he would come by, right? And I show him a Polaroid. He goes, "Oh, that you got already. Just go home for the day. Perfect."
Nice.
Or Marilyn, like, shoot, keep shooting.
Yeah,
How
I remember
funny. I
that
could hear
so
her.
much.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Forever, And then, if I was doing a celebrity, he'd call me and give me some basic direction what he wanted. And that was so much easier than going through a middle person,
of course,
who would interpret what they wanted to hear and how they would see it, and then tell me that. But one thing he did do a lot was when we sent a centerfold over, we didn't send test shootings. We always sent a final print. We never sent halfway done ever.
Yeah,
it was always a full done centerfold.
That makes sense.
Was there a lot of changes that you remember?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Okay.
Sometimes he would say, I don't like the set, and that would change. But sometimes he would say, that lampshade way in the background is not appropriate. It's not the right era.
Wow.
I love that. So detailed.
And he was so about history.
And he had a really great eye. I mean, he would see stuff that we didn't see.
Of course.
Wow.
Of course.
So we were always on pins and needles. Like, did we get the set right, the prop right? Did we get the wardrobe right? Because he'll see it.
That was always my favorite thing when I would stay at the mansion and I'd go upstairs and talk to Mary and Norma and whatnot. And he would always be in Mary's office with his loop looking at, the photos. And it just, again, spoke to how
detail oriented and he loved it. And that's why.
That was his love affair.
That's why the end result.
What's that?
When we used to send a layout, Chicago would do the layouts and we shoot thousands of pictures, they would give him their idea of a layout, like, 3 pictures on one page and then 2 on the other, for instance. Well, underneath those pictures would be alternatives. There'll be like 4 or 5 choices. So if you didn't like the top picture, he lifts it up, there'll be another one and another one and another one. So he could kind of mix and match everything.
And knew how to
That's what he liked to do.
Balance it right.
Yeah, balance it to your own eye.
Do you remember? That just reminded me. I remember looking. Do you remember when you first saw your images? And it is amazing.
Yeah, I was absolutely blown away. It was stunning.
Arnie's
amazing. Yeah, Arnie, and
I always loved showing a Polaroid to a girl.
What's that?
For the first time, I loved it.
Oh, to show the Polaroid for the first time.
Because
expression on their face.
They didn't see themselves in the makeup, the hair on the wardrobe, and it felt uncomfortable in the pose. They had no idea what it looked like, and then I showed them a picture,
and they're like, "Oh
my god, I had no idea."
Okay,
that's so.
They're always happy.
I see what you're saying.
How rewarding! What a rewarding. It
really was. Yeah. I loved making girls feel happy, and they would just sometimes they cry of happiness. It was wonderful.
You've had an incredible career, Arnie. I mean,
I've had a good life.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I can say that we all have. I mean, everybody that we've been interviewing and speaking to, and again, it's like, such as yourself, 34 years. I mean, we had Pat Lacey's actually over here in the corner.
We have Lacey.
Lacey's here. Lacey, 54
keeping us in line and making sure we.
But most of you are really there for the majority of your life, and it was your university of life. And
like I think it was Arnie that said he came into his manhood.
That was David, I think. Yeah.
David, sorry, Arnie. Don't say that out loud. Edit this out. You did too, right, Arnie? You came into your,
very fast.
We all learned a lot from Playboy. I think everybody can say that.
But the thing is, Playboy is such a wonderful place to work because for me, I'm from Chicago, so I used to go to Chicago a lot and shoot there in their studios. So I see my friends and family in my hometown. Then I would get to travel the entire world. They sent me all over the world.
That was the best part, was traveling.
Places I wouldn't go on my own.
Exactly.
And then you're paid very well, and then you got to go to the parties at the mansion, and you're around playmates all the time. Why would you leave that? Where are you going to go?
I know, exactly. Boring.
Oh my God. Where are you going?
Yeah.
That's why people stayed there.
Yeah, actually, speaking of that, that's definitely an issue that, I'm sure all of us playmates experience is like, when your year was over, certainly there was a group of us that continually worked, but then there certainly were girls that didn't. But, after those couple of years are over and it's done, and it's like, you just think it's going to go on forever, and it doesn't. you know, and it's this big adjustment and change that we all individually had to go through. And I personally had to put all my stuff away for like 5 years because I got to the point where I was just always comparing myself to those photos. And I was 18 years old in the photos. Like, come on, I'm not going to like, you know, I had a baby, like get over it. But now for it to come back full circle and just really
appreciate what it was.
Grateful.
And be grateful.
And for all the beautiful images and the experiences and the traveling and the family
in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, where do you go from there?
You don't. You don't.
For me, I understand what you're saying, that, you know, after a month, it's kind of over.
Yeah.
But for me, it just went on to the next month and next month and next year, next year.
Yeah.
I got that rush every month for 38 years.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
My gosh.
You know? I mean,
and then seeing your issue on the newsstands, and you know, that's me, that's my artwork. Oh, I'm going to ask you that. Have you ever been somewhere like a corner store where, you know, you let somebody know just because you wanted to look at it and you hadn't really, you know, held it in your hands yet? Have you ever had?
The first time that my first cover came out, I went to my local store and I bought it, and I went up to the cashier and go, I shot this picture.
Right, exactly.
Isn't that fun? What did he say?
You're not going to believe me, but I took this picture.
Isn't that fun?
Oh, you know what?
And you know that guy probably didn't believe him.
He's
like,
and there was a picture of me inside.
Wow. I hope you showed him and said, I'm not going to sign it for you either. Just kidding.
I have a good story regarding that. You'll appreciate this, Arnie, because it was my centerfold. So you know the Playboy book of just all the centerfolds, the long, narrow black one? And it has every single centerfold in there from the beginning.
No.
What? Why don't you have that book?
I don't either.
I do. Well, there's several books.
Well, so I'm talking about the Playmate book. So it's every single centerfold. So I was in,
okay. I do have that one.
Yeah. So I was in Miami at the Delano, and I walk into the gift shop to grab something, and I look down in this case, and they have the book in there, and it's open to my centerfold. And I was like, that's me. And they're like, no, it's not. I'm like, I swear to God, that's me. Because I didn't even know they'd put the book together.
But what are the odds?
What are the odds,
all
right?
Of those centerfolds, and it was
pretty cool.
Yeah. I was like, all right. Thanks, Arnie. Thanks for the beautiful shot.
Wow.
Yeah, it was neat seeing that.
So we all had a fun time at Playboy, that's for sure.
Well, absolutely. Yes. And again, just what a testament to Hef and to Playboy as a company when it was Playboy.
If you
the amount of years that that all of you stayed there. I mean, that is just a true testament to the loyalty and the gratitude and really just the experience to be able to hang on to that job like that. And for Hef to have long-term employees like that, it was very important to him. It was very, very important.
I always ask everyone this. If there was something that you could say to Hef at his memorial or in his memory, what would you have said to him if you had the opportunity?
Simply thank you.
Oh, I love that, Arnie.
I mean, come on.
Awesome. Yeah.
Nobody I know has had the life I've had.
No.
Or the experiences.
Nope.
And it was one of a kind.
Yep.
It's a one of a kind thing.
Once in a lifetime. Once in a lifetime. And it'll never, ever occur again.
Oh, no.
There'll never be a Hef.
Nope.
No.
The imitators, but they'll never be the same.
Nope.
Nope.
Not at all.
That gave me
one of a kind.
Yes,
not
absolutely.
At all. We are not hoping, but we are absolutely planning on putting together a huge celebration of life event for Hef, because when he passed, most of us didn't, get to say,
I know.
Even knew, and then it was out on the news. So
we're letting you know because we're going to invite everyone,
all the staff,
in his honor,
and
it'll be put together the way Hef would have.
Yeah, like a mansion party. Yep. So
that would be fantastic.
Don't you think? That'll be coming down the line. So that'll be a really fun thing to work on.
That's great.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see you and give you a hug one of these days.
You'll see me at your event.
Maybe at your event. Yes. Indeed.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
I'll be there.
Okay, so 3 words that describe Hef. I think I asked you that in the email. Did I say?
I said generous.
Generous.
Oh.
I think I said something like meticulous or detail oriented.
Detail oriented. Yeah.
And I forgot the third one. Probably very focused.
Yeah. There you go. Yep.
But he was an incredibly generous man, as you girls know.
Absolutely.
Incredibly generous.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
He opened up his house.
Very thoughtful, and he remembered. And
you know, the thing, Hef's from Chicago, right? And I have a theory about Midwestern people. I think Midwestern people are very kind people.
Midwestern and the South.
Yes,
it's a
Southern.
big difference in the way.
Yep.
Yes.
Here's a funny story. My niece ended up being an airline pilot, right? And Hef had gone to the same school she went to study aeronautics.
Really?
He went to Southern Illinois University in Champaign-Urbana. So I took my niece to the mansion for a party once, and I introduced her to Hef, and I said, Hef, she went to the same school you did, and now she's a pilot also. Hef was a pilot. I don't know if people knew that.
I did not. That's why I was like, what? He wanted to be a pilot?
What did he fly?
Oh, and then
he also started flying stunt planes.
Wow.
Wow.
And he said when he became Mr. Playboy and started a magazine, he said, I'm having such a great time in my life. I don't want to kill myself in a stunt plane, so I stopped flying stunt planes.
I wonder if that had any impact on Cooper going and training in the Air Force, because he's in the reserves for the Air Force.
Is he really?
It probably does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I had no idea about that. That's so
awesome.
interesting. Thank you for that little nugget of wisdom or
and when he got
nugget
his
of history.
jet, the bunny jet, he flew it down to the school to show it to the students.
Oh my God, he flew the bunny jet.
Oh my gosh. I did not know any of these. These are tidbits here, Arnie.
Yeah.
That's golden nuggets
incredible.
of history. I love it.
That's how cool a guy he was.
Yeah.
Wow, just across the board.
They had that in common.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. So what are you doing these days? Are you retired, or is it hard to be retired?
Well, I'm pretty much retired. I started doing some seminars, and then COVID hit, so that was the end of that. Honestly, I don't enjoy shooting on my own because I can't do the level I used to do when I had a full staff behind me.
Sure.
And I don't enjoy shooting a one-on-one, for instance, because I was used to having a full staff, big sets in a studio.
Of course.
Right? Big productions.
It's a lot of work that you didn't have to do.
You just can't, no one can afford to do it the way Playboy.
No.
So for me, it's not as challenging to do a one-on-one as it was to do a layout or a production. And what I used to be really good at were groups of people. I was very good at designing multiple people in one shot. And I miss that.
Yeah, that's what you were used to.
No one
and telling people
what
you need. I need this.
Yeah,
this, and you could see it better.
20 or 30 lights on a set.
Unreal.
So no one can do that anymore.
Yeah.
No, it just.
What cameras do you have behind you, Arnie? What? I love your cameras. Are those some cameras?
Are those some old school, huh?
That's pre-digital.
That's another thing. I mean, you shot so many things on film.
Real film.
Yes.
It was not digital.
What do you think of the difference between film and digital? Are you liking?
Well, I think it's huge. Digital for sure has certain advantages, major advantages. It doesn't look the same. It's too sharp, got too much depth of field.
That's exactly what
everything now. It's
it's kind of like listening to a record as opposed to a CD.
Exactly. Perfect.
Did you know that we?
Oh yeah, check this out.
Have a Playboy record here. I don't know if you.
Oh, there you go.
We didn't know that Playboy had a record label, and we've got Mickey Gilly coming on the show.
Yes, my buddy Mickey Gilly cut his first record.
It started for Barbie Pet.
It was because
with Barbie. They cut a record
they did
together.
a duet, Mickey and Barbie.
But we're learning all kinds of things, Arnie. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
It's been so great seeing you. You look amazing.
Oh, thanks. Must be filters or lighting.
Do you know how to
Do you
light?
have your Snapchat filter on?
His whole crew is behind him. He's like, I need this, I need this, I need this coming through here.
I know we were so spoiled.
Of light just perfectly.
I know, and speaking to the production it was and what it took to pull off the photo shoots that we did. I mean, it was huge, and there were so many people involved. We had the Butlers in here last week and did an interview with 3 of them, and Brian Olea, who went to go start his own event planning business after leaving Playboy.
I love Brian.
Yeah, he's going to be the one that's going to coordinate the big event. But check this out. He told me, because I was like, oh, my favorite party was this one. He goes, oh yeah, that's the one I did. He goes, that's about $250,000. And I was like, it never crossed my mind walking into the mansion, like what it took to throw these sorts of events. I was like, oh, it's just normal. It's the mansion.
And really fast, do you think that I look okay? Guess who did my makeup? Guess who did my makeup?
You?
No.
Oh, anyway, you used her a lot.
We have Playboy makeup on.
Wait, Kim.
No.
It starts with an S.
And
ends with an H.
No, S-A. Oh,
is it? Does her name end with an H?
No, it's S-A-R-A, Sarah. Sarah Cranham.
Oh, Sarah. Oh, my God.
We're playing charades.
She sends her love, and I had to tell you.
I didn't know
Sarah
she was still
Cranham,
working.
She's incredible. I mean,
her.
she does everyone's makeup in Hollywood now.
Her dad did all her sets for all these years.
Yeah, she was telling us about that.
He built all the sets.
Yeah, I love Sarah.
Yeah, she's great.
Yes, we would have loved to have him on, but
yeah.
So you worked with her dad. I mean, it's a family.
That's right. I forgot that she told me about
her
that.
Dad was
he built all of this.
Incredible set builder.
Totally.
So you guys worked side by side. Probably when Hef said, "I want a different set," and you're like, "Oh my gosh, we have to tear this
John was
beautiful thing down."
Wow. Arnie, did you shoot that cover of with Seinfeld and me and Barbara and Susie Simpson?
No, I think Waita did that one.
Oh yeah, I was trying to remember.
Yes, I know he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just trying to.
In a phone booth.
Yeah. It made me think about you shooting groups of people, and that was a really interesting photo shoot, getting all crammed in there. But all I cared about was they said, get Echo and Barbara up front. So we were up front. And that's one of the most famous covers.
Oh, what's that?
Who shot Trump?
Who shot Trump?
Yes.
Someone shot Trump?
No, not shot for the magazine.
Did you shoot Trump? I'm like, breaking news right now. Donald Trump has been shot.
Why do I have the FBI?
Lacey came live. This is going to be the most sensational show.
Lacey,
no, oh my gosh. So Arnie, you didn't shoot Donald Trump.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I don't know who did that.
Somebody shot Trump. That was so great.
I'm like,
oh my God.
Lacey, I'm telling you.
Lacey, come and say hello.
Yes, come say hi. Just say hi. She's so beautiful. Yes.
I love Cat Lacey.
I know.
Where are you?
Look at her. How you doing, Cat?
Oh, hi. How are you doing?
You're one of my favorite people ever. You know that?
Everyone says that.
Everybody's
favorite.
Yeah.
We love her so much. We won't be without her.
And you won't believe we were just leaving the hotel and randomly we walk outside and we run into Mark Saganor on the sidewalk.
Can you believe it? Mark.
And I was like, I need your number.
I know. And we were wanting to get a hold of him.
Yeah.
He saw
How many people you know because of Hef?
Multitudes, it seems.
Multitudes.
How many people we know because of Hef?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Cat and I worked together for years and years and years.
Yeah, I mean, just open up our Rolodex on our phone.
Oh, there you go.
So
well, listen, Arnie, we've gotta get going now. So
well, it's really great seeing you girls.
Well,
hey, thank you so very much.
Yes,
of course,
Arnie, we appreciate this. This was an honor and a privilege.
Yeah,
really.
Of course. Glad to do it. I'm glad you're doing it really well.
And you look
both look fantastic.
You do.
Thank you.
So fun to see you.
Yeah. So we will definitely we'll stay in touch. We'll let you know when the whole show is going to launch. It's probably going to be in August. And
fantastic.
And then we'll
love to see it. Good luck with it.
Thanks, honey. Kisses.
Thank
mwah, mwah, mwah. Good to see you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Arnie. Thank you.
I'm Echo.
I'm Karina.
This is the Bunny Chronicles. See you next week.
Yes. Yay!